Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you're tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 4. So before I get started, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be the first to find out when I post these videos. All right, guys, let's jump in because this week's episode was a lot, okay? Not for everyone, but we know who we're gonna get into. But I'm gonna kick it off with Jacob and Haley. So this episode, they basically show their first night, really morning together. They have brunch with the families, and they get ready to go to their honeymoon. I do believe they land in their honeymoon in Vegas. So let's kick it off with Jacob and Haley. Jacob and Haley, I don't think they're well matched. I don't see this going really well. They might surprise me because there was one scene where they were cuddling and she kissed him, and I was like, okay, maybe it might work out. But I mean, I'm grasping for straws here. There's not much to go on. I think that she is trying to, if we could get inside her head, we'd see just this person running around just trying to make sense of it, and just trying to be cool. And it's been a very long time since she's been in a relationship. She really hasn't been in a relationship in her real adult life, because her last relationship was when she was 21. So 21 feels really adult. I mean, technically it's adult, but you haven't really had an adult relationship. And Jacob is just an interesting guy, and he has a particular quirkiness about him, and you either like it or you don't. And so I think we see her kind of like with bug eyes looking and just, okay. And I'm thinking she's probably thinking, this is who they matched me with, like trying to make sense of it. How do we work? It just felt like she was kind of judging him, but not like even maliciously, just like everything he said was kind of like, that's weird, or, just trying to take it in. And honestly, I don't necessarily blame her in that way, because I think if I were matched with someone like that, so overtly different, with a very particular nature about him, I think that would throw me off as well. And steak and eggs for every single meal, every single day, like stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, we'll see, but and he's kind of on loop about his house, which is why I don't follow these pages. But I did see over the week that he kind of said, listen, like, I think my house is cool, but every time they started filming, the question came up, well, what did you do during the quarantine? So that's kind of like, so it was heavily edited that all he talks about is his house, is basically what he's saying, when he was like, no, I don't. I talk about other things, but like, this is kind of the way that they had cut it and put it together. So, we'll see. They brunch with her family was okay. I mean, he was talking about the house again. Her brother doesn't really seem to vibe with him. I don't know if it's just like the weirdness of a brother and he just really probably didn't want to be there, or if he just doesn't really vibe with him. But there's something awkward with like their dynamic, and I think the parents were just being nice, and I don't know. It was awkward exchange all around, I think. Haley's brunch with his family, his parents seem nice, but his parents also seem, I don't know, kind of, they lack the excitement and enthusiasm that maybe some other people have. They're kind of like very baseline, very even keel, and Haley is kind of the opposite. And you see where Jacob kind of gets his reserved nature from. So I think all their scenes fell flat to me. I kind of was not really impressed with their scenes, and I don't know what their dynamic is going to become. I don't have high hopes, but if it works out, great. Maybe they find something that they can be quirky about together. I mean, they are married, so they need to make it work, but I don't, they're not starting out with like a really high chemistry in any capacity from my perspective. So that is Jacob and Haley. And the next person that we have, let me look at my notes here. The next person that we have is Ryan and Clara. Ryan and Clara also, to me, I don't know. Clara is not my favorite. I don't know what it is about her. I think because she's extremely loquacious, to the point where it's kind of obnoxious. I think it's really going to get on Ryan's nerves because he is very much the opposite. And now he's going to have to grow as well and make room for more chatter. But I think there's like also room for just silence, comfortable silence. I don't think she knows how to do that. Like, and I think that's going to irritate him. And I find her, I don't know, I think throughout the process so far, like she would be hanging out with the girls and super talkative and asking questions, but then in her individual scenes kind of making snarky comments and just like a lot of energy that can be burnt out quickly on the receiving end. You know, one of the things that came up with them interestingly was his family's devout faith and the importance of that for them and him as well. I don't know if I remember seeing that in his package, and her kind of not really subscribing to any religion, and that coming up when she had brunch with his family. I don't know if he said that he was okay with somebody being open, but I think these are the things. I know sometimes the experts match and they say, okay, well, you know, you may not get what you want, but you get what you need. But I think there are things that should be non-negotiable. I definitely think if you're looking to be married, there should be like a list of 5 non-negotiables that you have, that if this person doesn't meet these things, then you're not going to be able to create a foundation with them. So it's kind of pointless. You can be flexible with a lot of things, but a lot of people are not flexible about religion. They're not flexible about children. They're not flexible about politics, etc. And so when they match these people up, I don't get why they would do that. Because Ryan said it's really important to my family as well as me. And she's kind of like, I went to Bible Academy or something, and then I never went back to church again. And I think he missed the opportunity to really get to know her and say why. You know, like, because for me, I was like, okay, what happened? You know, I automatically think there was like some traumatic experience that turned you completely off. Like, let's talk about that, because you guys are married and you're going to want to move forward together in life. And if faith is really important to him and his family, you're going to be spending time with the family. How's that going to play in? You know, how many prayers are you going to endure? And of course, your parents are going to talk about it. That's just a natural conversation to come up, and before it gets awkward, let's talk about it. So I think he missed an opportunity to get to know her in that way, and that definitely needs to come up again. Once again, another brother who looked like he didn't want to be at brunch. Like Ryan's brother looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there. So, you know, I don't know. To me, she sticks out like a sore thumb in that dynamic, because they just seem more like Ryan, more like chill, a lot more awake than Jacob's parents, but more chill, and more steadfast. And she just, you know, when we saw her looking for the ring dish, and she was just like spinning out of control, like just looking for this thing. It was a lot of energy, and he's kind of waiting there as they were packing, and she's like, can you stop hovering? And they're very much opposites. So maybe they can feed off of each other and help each other out. They seem to be both attracted to each other, so that's good. Once again, I mean, I think they're okay matched. I need to see more from them before I really say that they are gonna work or not. There's potential there, but we definitely need to get into some dialogue about like something more depth, because right now it's kind of surface and it's cool and it works, but you know, we haven't gotten too far. They're just now getting to Las Vegas for their honeymoon. So that's Ryan and Clara. Next we have Virginia and Eric. So, you know, I heart Eric. Like, Eric, he seems like such a nice guy. I want this to work for him so badly. Last week, if you recall, I said that I had this like, okay, it might work, because I'm looking for anything at this point. It might work with Eric and Virginia, where at first I was like, why would they even? Because she is gonna be home. He is a pilot, so he will travel. So she might be able to get that party girl out of her system, and then when he comes home, she'll be able to acclimate to spending time together and slowing down. Because a lot of times people say, well, they party. Well, they're single. You know, even Vincent's family, and I'll jump to them next. Vincent's family was like, oh, well, he works all the time, like every day, all 10-hour days. Well, he's single. Like, he can do that. People do make room for people that they care about, and when their dynamic change and they're in a relationship and their marriage, they make room for people. So I'm not so worried that she parties if she's willing to make room for something else that includes him and is more along the lines of them together, not necessarily just what she wants to do. The drinking is a lot. I don't know, like a lot of you guys have said, I think she's an alcoholic. I'm not gonna say that because you don't really know how much she drinks. We know she likes to party and she drinks a lot. What is a lot? I don't know yet, so I can't say that. I do say that she's probably in excess of, you know, the normal day-to-day, someone who does not go out a lot. I think that if she allows that to be the priority, then it is gonna be a problem in their relationship. Because as soon as I think they got to Vegas, she wanted to open the minibar. You know, he's wanting more like experiences that they can kind of have together, and she's like still partying hard. Another thing that was concerning for me, and once again, why are you matching these people together, is when she had brunch with his parents, I think it was mom, I forgot who the other lady was, and his niece, which was super sweet. They brought up children, and she said she's 50-50 on it. When they had that conversation about how did brunch go, it's like, for sure he wants them. Why would you match someone who's already been married, a more seasoned individual who definitely wants kids, with a young partier who's 50-50 on children? The vibe that I get for Virginia, though, is she does want them. She just doesn't really know that she wants them. It's kind of like, because at 26, and I have a younger sister who had children before me, I was trying to catch flights, okay? I was trying to get stamps on passports. So when somebody told me, yeah, you'll have kids, I'm like, yeah, okay, girl, someday, yeah, all right. Like, it's so far that, like, I never said 50-50 because I knew that at some point I did want them. But it was just like, oh, yeah, we'll do that later. Catch me later, you know? That's the vibe I get from Virginia. I don't get that she's like, oh, 50-50, like, I'm really not sure that I want them. We've had some personalities here that have not been sure that they wanted them, and they were true to that. I don't think she's that. I think she's 26, she parties, she's young. I think she's comes from divorce, she's seen certain things, and so maybe she might be apprehensive. She doesn't want to do that to her child. So that's where that 50-50, but I do believe that if they have a significant bond with the chemistry that they have, the fire that they have, which is just built on lust right now, but it can turn into other things as they get to know each other. I do believe that she would be willing to transition into motherhood with her husband at the right time, at the right season for her, because she just gives me that. She just gives me, right now, it's all about fun. I found it interesting that the dad, when they were having brunch with Eric, said, you know, she's seen some things between us, and so that's she's always really struggled to commit, and that's why she's taken so long to commit. And I'm like, she's 26. She hasn't taken long to commit. You know, she's not 36, she's 26. So there's a lot of young stuff happening here. There's still potential for them. It just really it really depends on how Virginia goes. Eric, of course, everyone has room to grow. But for her, she's more of the wild card in the relationship. Also, what came up for the two of them was he shared that he was married before. She seemed to take it in stride, a little apprehensive, but once again, I feel like it was edited to be that way. Like, her vibe is how much she's on him. Yeah, maybe she didn't expect him to be married. I don't think that's gonna jeopardize them or throw her off in any capacity. I think the dad took it on the chin too, and came from a place of understanding. Like, listen, I've been here before. I'm not gonna judge you about having been married before, as long as you treat her well and she loves you. You know, I really like that his dad, her dad, I'm sorry, supported him in a way that can make him feel comfortable with sharing that, rather than shaming him. So to me, that worked out really well. I like seeing that dynamic. So that's Eric and Virginia. I think they're doing better than I expected, to put it like that. Because at first, the first episode, I was like, okay, why? I'm starting to warm up to them, but I'm warming up asterisks with the possibilities that these changes or these evolutions can be made. And then, you know, we can go from there in terms of like how they develop. So Eric and Virginia. Vincent and Brianna. I really, really like Vincent and Brianna. At first I was like, I don't know. I was like on the fence, not totally off the fence or on the side of like, it's not going to work out, but I wasn't getting more, but I really like their vibe. I like how natural they feel. They feel like just a very natural couple that could have met at a game night with friends, and I went out with Brianna and it just turned into something. The whatchamacallit, the brunch with families went really well. Mom told Vincent, listen, I'm protective of my daughters, you know, don't mess around. She sat with his family and they told her all about him. I think I really like them. I really do. I get a really good energy from them. What was interesting about them is they had a real life moment. So as soon as they landed in Vegas for their honeymoon, we found out, unfortunately, that Vincent's grandmother had a heart attack. And this is where, like, it's no longer reality. It's not a reality show anymore. It's like the real deal. And that was indicative of real life, okay? Where real life can happen, whether you're on a reality show or not. And it's like, how do we deal with this very real circumstance? And I appreciated seeing that dynamic with the two of them, and I think that it will strengthen their relationship for sure. It also resonated with me because 4 days after my husband and I got married, my mother had to have a very significant surgery. And so this is like, it's real life. It doesn't matter. You know, life doesn't care that you just got married and you're supposed to be in a honeymoon phase. Like, stuff can get real, very quickly. And I think that Brianna handled that beautifully. Like, who cares about the honeymoon? Like, something greater is happening here. Whatever support you need is what I'll give you. We can always come back to Vegas. We can always redo a honeymoon. Because this is the stuff that, this is the better or for worse part. This is the stuff that has significance over time. We already know that Vincent kind of struggled in his previous relationship with feeling that someone had his back and was supportive. It was for a different reason, but regardless, being supportive is important to him. And there was no better way she could have handled that. If she would have handled that any other way, it would have been awful. But the fact that she put him at ease to not make her a priority at that time, regardless, we're on our honeymoon, I'm your wife, I just met you, I'm not a priority right now. Your family and possibly needing to go back if God forbid something happened is the priority, and I'm supporting you 100%. That's real life. That it doesn't get any more real than that. And I think watching that small moment will have such a big effect on their relationship in the positive. So that's Vincent and Brianna. They seem to be getting along well. Really happy. I mean, he said, he's like, I'm very happy. We know she's very happy. So it'll be good to watch them kind of develop and you know, live this married life. So that is Vincent and Brianna. Last but not least, we have Chris and Paige, okay? I don't even know where to begin. I really don't. Chris, to me, is he has somewhat of an abusive personality, okay? Abuse could be various things, or come in various methods. It's not just physical. It could be mental. It could be emotional. He's definitely an emotional and mental abuser. And one of the significant traits of, I can't talk today, the significant traits of a mental and emotional abuser is manipulation, the art of using manipulation. I mean, I almost applauded him for how well of an actor he was to find a way to be so offensive and hurtful and then make himself a victim. Like, it was award-winning to watch him do that, because I was floored at how he so quickly became a victim and put the responsibility on her and put blame on her. And I watched the unfortunate the unfortunate taking on of that responsibility on her end. Okay, so let's start. Paige and Chris had sex. They consummated their marriage. They had sex twice. They had sex at night. They had sex in the morning. He gets up, or they get up the next morning. He goes downstairs for breakfast. Doesn't come back for like over an hour. Went to get breakfast menus at that. And he comes back, and she's, sitting there in the room, kind of like, what is going on? She calls him. He doesn't pick up. He comes back, distraught, saying that he had a panic attack. If he did, okay, this is my disclaimer. If he did, I feel bad for that. As a therapist, I know how debilitating that could be. I don't believe him. I do not. So I'm not going to view him therapeutically, okay, as someone who has these attacks. He comes back distraught because he had this attack, allegedly, and basically says to her that on paper, they're great, but he's not attracted to her. It's so offensive. It's so offensive in general. Like, that's just hard to hear, but what really took him to a status that had a lot of expletives when I was at home on the couch was the fact that he consummated their marriage not once, but twice. And he used that as a tool to kind of see if they could have a connection. That's what he tells her, because she's confused at this point. How could we have sex twice and you're not attracted to me? I would have never thought that would have been the case. And he uses the excuse, well, I was hoping to find some sort of connection. As an alleged man of faith, everything is alleged with Chris, because he's like not for real. As an alleged man of faith, is that really, and I don't care that you're married at this point, because you have your reservations since you saw her come down the aisle. So married or not, hey, do you maybe want to just take a step back and really explore if you should consummate the marriage and possibly bring in another layer of emotional attachment due to engaging in sex? You weren't thinking about that. You weren't really even trying to create this connection. I don't think he's trying to create this connection. I think he just wanted to have sex, okay? He already told her that he reserved himself for 3 whole days before he met her. So you wanted to have sex. Not only that, you basically said how attracted to her body. Remember last week when I talked about, him not wanting her as a trophy wife because he doesn't meet her requirements, and just the hypersexualization of women, and especially dark-skinned women. You wanted her body. You were basically talking about her behind and her shape, but you didn't find her attractive, I guess, her face. And so you've had a cocktail or two, or 20 at this point, who knows? It's a long day of filming. We see like a short amount of time, but they're filming all day. They're exhausted. They're drinking. They just met. And you get to bed, and here's this, young woman willing to engage you in this because she is hopeful and she thinks you're much better than you are, and you're not. And you take advantage of that, not once, but twice. He's like deplorable. Chris is deplorable. I don't even know who he thinks he is. Like Chris like lives in a world where he is way more significant than most people, but also than he is. There's no shadow of a doubt of a mind that he is, or he has room to improve, or he may not measure up. And he really plays very surface. He plays very surface because that's where he's comfortable. I've heard many reports about what he has, what he doesn't have. the business that he had, and it's close. A lot of things just don't add up with Chris, and that's the concern. It's like 2 + 2 is not 4 here. So you really can't trust him, and we see just how exceptional he is at victim blaming and now becoming the victim. So that happens. Chris didn't have brunch with her family. I don't know why, but Chris didn't have brunch with her family. She had brunch with his family, and she basically shared what happened. She shared, that they had consummated a marriage not once but twice, and that he basically said that he was unattracted to her. It was uncomfortable, and I really felt bad for her at that brunch. Was it a lot of information? Yes. Is that something that I would have shared with my in-laws? No. Or maybe I wouldn't have given the whole story. I probably would have said he said he's not attracted, because she's like grasping at straws here. Think about it. Like, she met him the day before, or the evening before. They're married. Like, it's a lot happening. And it's like, who can I turn to? Well, these are the people who know him the best. Like, I'm on an island. Let me throw out a raft. Like, can somebody help me? Can somebody save me? I wouldn't have shared about the sex, but like her asking, hey, like, he says he's not attracted to me. Like, what do I do here? I felt just bad for her because she just wanted some sort of explanation, because he wasn't really giving her one, not one that was significant. I also wouldn't have shared that just because his dad is just, once again, sitting there on the side, like, okay, well, if he don't want you, I'll take you. It's like, the vibe is just so weird with his dad. The vibe is, you my type of daughter-in-law. It's like, sir, please, I'm married to your son, okay? I'm not available. But it's just, first of all, I just want to literally just, like, 3-point shot, throw every single one of them into the trash. Like, dad, because he's a creep, and makes excuses. Stepmom, because she's part of them too, and asking questions that are irrelevant. Mom, like, half court into the trash because she made excuses for him. Did he drink? What does that have to do with anything? Your son consummated a marriage twice over a woman that he said he's not attracted to, and it was just uncalled for. And you could see where he is completely coddled by that mom, because she made when she said, well, did he drink? And she had to, that's why she even said it happened twice. Like, she was screaming, like, your son is a beep, 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 like, hello, this happened again. And then that's when the mom said, oh, okay, I gotcha. What? No one is outraged that he would do that. This man of God, he's not outraged that he would do that. Chris is a clown, okay? Chris eventually meets with his family, and the dad's tries to hold him accountable. It looks like he's veering into accountable lane, but he gets off the highway. He veers right back into probably fantasizing about Paige. No one holds him accountable. And he's standing there. If you see his affect and if you see his body language, he's standing there like a little boy, because his dad asked him the question, like, why would you consummate twice? And he comes up with this reason that he thinks makes sense, and the family supports him. This is the problem. Like, the people in your life who are the most significant have not held you accountable, and you just get to do whatever you want to do. And then have the audacity to get upset because Paige, he's crying on the table. I mean, I can't even take this episode. He is crying on the table. Once again, that was another actor moment too, because those were fake crocodile tears, if they even came out, because she shared that they consummated the marriage, and he's never talked about sex with his family, and he's from Chicago, and they have a code out there. I'm from Chicago, by the way, guys. I was born and raised in Chicago, the burbs, but Chicago nonetheless. So I don't know what he's talking about, because the whole world abides by, hey, there are certain no-goes. You don't talk about people's children, people's family, people's spouse, people's mother, people's family. Everybody kind of goes by that. So stop it. If you felt like she shouldn't have talked about sex with your parents, just say that. But to have this code, you are a clown, okay? And not a funny one. Like, to have this whole thing where once again he finds a way to switch it on her, and Paige is just not standing up for herself, and he gets upset that she shared that like, it should have never been discussed. Talk to him, because what, you're such a great person to talk to? You're the problem. And she talked to her friends, her male friends, about this. Once again, under normal circumstances, yeah, you don't discuss certain things with your male friends, but I feel like she married him the day before. She doesn't know this guy from Adam. Hey, oh my God, I had sex with my husband twice last night, and he says he's not attracted to me. She's grasping at straws. She's like, hey, help me. You're a man. Yeah, I've gone to not about that, but when I was dating and I got mixed messages from a guy, I would go to my closest guy friends and says, well, he said this, but he's not doing, like, what do you think about that? And they'd be like, well, this is what that means. Like, that's normal, okay? But he turns that all around. He turns it all around and blames her. And once again, she's sitting there getting a finger shaken at her because she shouldn't have done XYZ. He's taking zero accountability, and it makes me sick. He walks out, he's just in the corner or in the hallway, so distraught. He is a clown. And I keep saying clown because the other words that I want to use are not nice. Not nice. Here's where I want to hold Paige accountable, okay? Because when you know you're with the clown, you got to now realize that you got to, like, be aware that there are parts to play at this circus, okay? You can't just be oblivious to the fact that these things are happening. Because Paige, once again, floats in and out of this. She's annoyed. You can tell she's annoyed, but she really doesn't hold him to the fire. And the way that, to me, she was violated, she had sex willingly. So I'm not saying, like, violated in that way, but emotionally violated, because he knew he didn't like her from jump. Why do this? And then use an excuse as to why it's acceptable, and it's not. You cannot see red flags and then put your black and white shades on. And I didn't see it. You saw it. Like, that dinner at the reception was horrendous. The questions he was asking her was horrendous. She was already concerned that their connection was, like, not so connected, that his questions were inappropriate. Your daddy's questions were inappropriate. There was a lot of red flags. I mean, it was a murder scene of red flags, and she still chose to have sex with him, hoping. This is the thing, and women, we need to be careful of that. Sometimes what you are shown is what it is. Like, you can't make it something it's not, in doing something different, hoping it's different. It is what it is. A lot of times when a man says what he is telling you, it is what it is, or he's showing you what it is what he's showing you. Doing something different, hoping that it's not what you're seeing or not what you're hearing, is a gamble. And a lot of times, for the most part, you will lose. So in having sex with him, she's hoping that this horrendous 6 or 7 hours that she just had with him before, these things that ding, 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 red flags, flashing lights going off in her mind, this is not right, or I feel this way, or something. She's hoping that this will garner a different result. And you lost. This game that you played, you lost. And this is not a normal setup. So just because that's her husband doesn't mean that she really needed to have sex with him that night. She has to be accountable in paying attention to her instincts and paying attention to the things that concern her, especially with someone she doesn't know. Because yes, we're married, but you don't really know this person. This is not a traditional setup. So taking your time is not a problem, and it's actually quite advised. So she needs to pay attention, and she needs to hold him accountable. And also, in holding him accountable, she will hold herself accountable. Because yes, this happened to her, but in growing, you learn how to recognize the part that you play in what has happened to you as well. And so it's not like they had a beautiful night and it was sparks and there was so many great things, and then they had sex, and then it's like, I'm not attracted to you. There were things that concerned her that she verbalized throughout the reception and then thereafter. So Paige she needs to pay attention as well. Otherwise, all these things will continue to happen to her, and he will take advantage of her. And that will just be a recurring theme, you know, get out the clouds, because he is someone that you are going to have to guard yourself against, because he is not in your best interest, as we've seen. And they just close it out. There were no boundaries set. You know, even the way that they talked to each other got a little heated, somewhat disrespectful. Like, you just don't move. You're not gonna make any changes in a relationship, any kind of relationship, if you don't address the situation and set boundaries for how to move forward. It's not enough to say, I'm sorry, yeah, we need to work on communication or talking to each other better, or we shouldn't have said that. Next time this happens, what are we going to do? Next time this happens, what are we going to put in place that would either keep this from happening or put a lid on it when it happens? I always say that there's rules of engagement, and there needs to be lines drawn. And when you're heated, at times you will cross those lines, but you cannot cross lines you've never drawn. And if you never draw them, then that line moves further and further away till when you get to a point where you could possibly say something or do something that you can't take back. So there needs to be some rules of engagement. And I think everybody should do that. Me and my husband have that. Okay. And we did that like when we first got married. Here's the things that we like. Here's the things we don't like. Let's talk about if things are going in this direction, what do we implement so that we don't get super disrespectful, or we don't say something and it works. I mean, it's a rare occasion that we really cross a boundary. Now, you're human. You will cross a boundary. Okay. But like I said, if you haven't drawn those lines, you don't know when you've crossed them. And there really is nothing, and you know, people can draw lines and cross them, but really if you're committed and you're respectful to each other, then you will want to stay within those confines in order to have a fruitful relationship, a fruitful dialogue, a fruitful argument. And they need to do that. Just hoping to start over. Cheers. We're going to Vegas. Okay. It looks like, I don't know, buckle up, y'all, because it's going to be a hell of a ride with the two of them for sure. So that's my dissertation on Chris and Paige. I can't stand Chris, if you didn't get that. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I'm going to try to bring my husband on. We got to confer schedules, but I try to bring him on a few times a season. So I'm going to try to bring him on next week. I'm gonna tell you that so I can hold myself accountable, and we're gonna work it out so that you guys can get his perspective on this season so far. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment, and I'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a great weekend.